You have the choice, whether it's going out to dinner or ordering takeout at a local restaurant. Those choices help to put money back into your community. And Town Square Media South Jersey puts a spotlight on local restaurants.
Doyle's Poorhouse of Tuckerton, offering amazing food, a family-friendly atmosphere, and the best events. Villa Basilari, serving authentic Italian cuisine since 2007 in Buna.
Thank you for supporting these great local restaurants from Town Square Media, South Jersey.
Home of the Philadelphia Eagles.
He's got him again!
Sixers.
Bang! It's good! Ball game!
And Flyers.
Tipped in front of the net!
97.3 ESPN. WENJ. WENJ HD. Millville, Atlantic City. A Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey. This is Game Night with Josh Hennick.
It's good!
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
And he scored!
Now live from inside the Ocean Casino Resort Studio. Here's Josh Hennick.
Josh Hennick here. We should be celebrating an Eagles game, but instead, consternation, drama, riffraff, BS. It is the domination of the day after Eagles win. And we will get into all this hour here on 97.3 ESPN. As always, you guys can join the conversation at 609-403-0973. Your DMs into 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. Chris Franklin from NJ Advanced Media. If you have seen the video of A.J. Brown's comments, you probably saw Chris Franklin in that video. So I had to make fun of him for it, and he agreed to come on the show anyway. So he'll join us in less than 20 minutes from now. As always, you guys can join the conversation, 609-403-0973. Wherever you're catching the show, 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app, or streaming live on my YouTube channel at Josh Hennig. Oh boy. Where do we start? Today has been one of those days where I feel like every time a legitimate question is brought up, whether it's by myself, Mike Gill on the Sports Bash, whether it's a guest like Sal Palantonio or Scott Grayson, it's like people don't know what to do with it. And I think that's the frustrating part of all this, because for those who didn't hear, the absolute tornado that has ripped apart the Eagles since a game that it was not a good game, okay? You know, statistically, 20 years from now, if you didn't watch the game, you'll look back on the game and think the game was fine. But the reality is that the Philadelphia Eagles, as I told you guys yesterday when I was with Billy Schwein in the locker room here on 97.3 ESPN, the Eagles were going against a team that has been scrappy, has been fighting hard. And I told everyone who would listen to me, the people at Scals and Brigantine, Shaner and EHT, Billy Schwein, Dave Klemick, and everybody just kind of shrugged me off. And now I'm sitting there watching this Eagles game, and I keep looking around like, all right, y'all heard me. Listen, I was watching the game, and I saw Frank from Brigantine. He gave me credit, and I want to know, why do people ignore when I say some of these things? I really do. Listen, this is not about me being right. This is about me trying to point something out to everybody, and that is, there is something genuinely wrong with this team in the first quarter of games. And I don't know why we can't talk about that. Instead, we got this guy, A.J. Brown, dropping this turd on everybody yesterday.
What are some things you think maybe that the offense needs to improve on? Passing.
AJ, I know everybody wants to get in a rhythm, and Devontae was acknowledging that. You know, receivers, just like running backs, want to get in rhythm. How hard is it as a receiver to get into a rhythm when you guys are only throwing the ball like 20 times?
Incredibly so.
I get that A.J. Brown is an emotional guy. He's passionate. He wears his feelings on his sleeve. But you got two different reporters asking him questions, and his answers have created this absolute dumpster fire over the last 24 hours. And Jalen Hurts, the Eagles quarterback, didn't help during his press conference either.
The notion of trying to be on the same page, is that a conversation that should be happening in week 13 of the season?
No.
Why is that?
I just say no.
I just say no. You have two individuals, captains of this team, supposed to be leaders, feeding the media answers that are creating now drama for a 24-hour news cycle. Damian Woody, Super Bowl champion, said this morning on Get Up.
There's nothing wrong with acknowledging that the pass game wasn't where it was supposed to be that day. But just the way that it comes off in the media, because we know that when you present yourself in a certain way in front of the media, they're going to take it and run with it. It's just what's going to happen. You're going to play one person against the other, the quarterback against the wide receiver, and that's how things fester.
And listen, that's a former player telling you things can fester. And I certainly hope it doesn't, because I don't think the problem with the Eagles yesterday was literally the passing game. I think the problem with the Eagles yesterday, if you were watching the game or you were listening here on 97.3 ESPN, the Merrill Reese and Mike Quick call the game, it became pretty clear very early on that there was no cohesion with the passing offense. There was no symmetry. There was nobody in sync. And you just got to wonder in the back of your mind, how does that happen? How does a team that has looked absolutely explosive in games this year, right? You know, some of those passes early this year when Jalen Hurts would throw it to A.J. Brown, and you would be like, wow, those guys are on the same page, right? And there were times like the Packers game where every time they ran motion, a good play would happen in the passing game. You know, there were times this year where Jalen to A.J. Brown, Jalen to Devonta Smith, it was like those guys were thinking the same thoughts. You saw the touchdown pass to Calcaterra and Smith yesterday. Those were great execution of plays by everyone involved. And how do you have those moments happen? And then not once, not twice, not 3 times, not 4 times, like 10 times, Jalen Hurts, he's holding the ball, and he's either getting sacked or making a bad pass or saying, oh no, I got to run the ball. You know, I've heard a lot of former players talk about how as a wide receiver, part of your job is to come back to the quarterback. Well, is it certainly possible that this team is running so many comeback routes and maybe the guys are tired of coming back to the quarterback? Maybe it's about time you start throwing the ball in a way that gets away from these problems. You know, one of the stories I used to get told when I was younger was, you know, any of us who were not great, you know, gifted athletes, right? Like maybe we were good at a couple things, right? Listen to the sound of my voice on 97.3 ESPN. You guys know when you played football or basketball or baseball or soccer or whatever sport you played, there was a skill set or an athletic trait that got you on the team. But that trait or athletic skill was never enough to make you into a college athlete, professional athlete, right? You know, maybe you were really fast, but you didn't really have anything else going for you, right? Maybe you were really strong. Maybe you were really resilient, tough. Maybe you could throw the ball really hard, but you had no other pitches, right? You know, maybe you were a guy who could get on base but really wasn't really good at stealing bases or whatever it may be. What makes the athletes in the professional ranks great is that they are capable of doing more than one thing. And it's starting to feel like the Philadelphia Eagles offense has regressed in the last couple weeks. Because when you look through what this team offensively has done this year, yeah, we've all talked about Saquon Barkley. He's on an MVP candidacy race. And frankly, if it wasn't for the fact that Josh Allen's team lost yesterday, he'd probably have even better betting odds for the MVP. But when you look through this season, it wasn't just yesterday the passing offense had problems. It was last week, too, against the Ravens. Now, we didn't talk about it as much because of how well the defense performed. Well, the defense yesterday didn't play as good as they did the week before in terms of just overall execution. I mean, so many missed tackles yesterday. Haven't talked about that enough in the last 24 hours. Haven't talked enough about how you have the wide receivers in Brown and Smith bickering with each other on the bench. And where's the quarterback? Nowhere to be found. Even A.J. Brown said after the game, oh, Jalen Hurts and I don't talk much during games. Well, whose fault is that? The last time the Philadelphia Eagles had a balanced game was November 14th, Thursday football against the Washington Commanders. Since that game, they have been all run game and nothing else. And that's part of the problem. So yes, A.J. Brown is not wrong that the passing game is a problem. But where I think he is wrong is the fact that how do you explain the games that the passing offense has been successful in this 9-game winning streak? The Bengals game. How about that game? How about the Cowboys game? Had a lot of success offensively in that game. I mentioned the Washington game. You can even throw the Rams game in there, but that was more Saquon Barkley having an historic game than anything else. The reality is that the reason why the passing offense has been a problem is because whatever you did in the Packers game, whatever you did in the Bengals game and the Cowboys game and the Commanders game, you stopped doing it. They mentioned on the broadcast, television broadcast, where's the motion? It's a good question. You know, when Jalen Hurts had motion versus the Packers, he had almost a perfect completion percentage in those situations. Now, all of a sudden, against a poor team like the Panthers, you don't run motion? It's a very, very strange strategy going on with this team. And, you know, who was the idiot who said, hey, let's call quarterback power on third down? Who's the idiot who's telling 3 receivers to all run deep and then you dump it off underneath and the defense recognized it immediately? There's got to be some culpability in all this on Kellen Moore as well, because some of this play calling has just been poor. 609-403-0973 is the text board. Joe in Sea Isle City chimes in. What's up, Joe? He says maybe the bad passing game is part of the big picture plan, saving the passing game for the playoffs. I mean, you can't go through life like that. You got to go out there. You got to stomp the Panthers. You got to hit that cruise control button in the fourth quarter, sit the whole team, and get them ready for Pittsburgh. You don't go into the game saying, I'm going to hold back against the Panthers because of the postseason. You got to use every regular season game to sharpen your skills for the postseason. Listen, Joe, and see, I appreciate the thought, but I think if that's your strategy, then I think that maybe you're not a good football coach. We're not talking about a trick play like Philly. We're talking about an entire aspect of the offense not executing well. Dan from EHC chimes in and says, the game plan was not Brown being the hot read. More on the offense. Didn't expect the Panthers to blitz 70% of the time. Plays were there, but not giving the game away on multiple turnovers. Sirianni coaching staff are much better than last year. But see, I don't accept that answer because we have praised this same coaching staff for making great in-game adjustments and dominating the second half of games. This coaching staff hasn't been able to do that. This coaching staff has been unable to make the same adjustments yesterday that they were able to make in previous weeks. The Eagles, before yesterday, were the best second half team in football. Top 2 or 3 in every category. Points in the second half, passing yards, rushing yards, touchdowns, efficiency ratings. They were the best in the NFL. So why did the Panthers be the team that you couldn't make adjustments against? I think that what we're doing is now, and this is not a negative against any of you listening on 97.3 ESPN, but I think there's got to be a middle ground. There's a middle ground between making borderline excuses for the team and just saying everybody stinks. There is an in between, and we're going to find out what it is with Chris Franklin from NJ Advanced Media coming up next. I'm Josh Hennig here on 97.3 ESPN, live in the Ocean Casino Resort studios of Atlantic City.
This is South Jersey's official home for Philadelphia Eagles football. The Eagles continue the 2024 season Sunday afternoon
at the Link, hosting the Pittsburgh Steelers.
3rd down and 5. Here comes the rush. They've got him! It is Gardner Johnson with the sack.
Eagles radio network coverage begins at 3 p.m. Merrill and Mike call all the action starting at 4:25. This is the play-by-play home of the Philadelphia Eagles. 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's Eagles station.
Go to get your game on at the Gallery Bar Book and Games at Ocean Casino Resort. Cheers your favorite drinks while cheering on your favorite team. Get in on the parlay while in the middle of a party. Go for the sports scene and go for the endless screams. Go to the Gallery. Go to the Fanatic Sportsbook. Go for the win at Ocean Casino Resort. For more information, visit theoceanac.com. Must be 21 or older to wager or consume alcohol. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
This holiday season, Straight Talk Wireless is letting you say yes a lot more with real unlimited data. Yes to sharing pics of the ugliest holiday sweaters. Yes to checking weather on the go for surprise sledding trips. And with a free phone at sign up, let the yes-tivities begin.
No way!
Yes way. Straight Talk, real unlimited data. Available at Walmart or straighttalk.com. Offer valid through 1/5/25 while supplies last at participating stores. Taxes and fees apply. Requires in-store activation on select single line plans. Limit of 2 phones per customer. For network management practices, visit straighttalk.com.
Happy Honda Days are here at Boardwalk Honda. With over 200 new Hondas in stock and more arriving daily, it's the perfect time to find your next car. Right now, enjoy huge savings off MSRP on select models and enjoy interest rates as low as 0.9% APR. Financing for up to 60 months on the new 2024 Honda Prologue. But don't wait. Happy Honda Days won't last forever. Don't miss out. Stop by today or visit them online at HondaBoardwalk.com. That's HondaBoardwalk.com.
At Harbor Freight, our low prices make us the place for gifts that keep on giving. Because when you give the gift of quality tools, you're giving someone the ability to fix, restore, and build for years to come. And with savings like these, you can even get something for yourself. Whatever you do, do it for less at Harbor Freight. Stop by and give yourself the gift of great prices.
Good morning, beat freaks. Who's ready to move? Let's start this day right.
Tasha's morning dance parties are meeting rave reviews.
Lose your phones and find your groove.
They need an ops manager to help their community dance the morning away.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Winter is approaching. Are you prepared? Don't get left in the dark. Kelvy Electric, a certified Generac dealer, has you covered. From installation to maintenance, they're your go-to experts for Generac generators, ensuring your home stays powered through any storm. A Generac home standby generator will automatically restore power to your home during an outage, so your life goes on uninterrupted. Put your trust in Kelvy Electric, the premier electrical contractor, serving South Jersey for over 110 years. Visit KelvyElectric.com today and stay ahead of any storm.
Oh, could this vintage store be any cuter?
Right? And the best part? They accept Discover.
Accept Discover? In a little place like this? I don't think so, Jennifer.
Oh, yeah, huh? Discover's accepted where I like to shop. Come on, baby, get with the times.
Right. So we shouldn't get the parachute pants?
These are making a comeback. I think.
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.
Thanks to Total Wine, you saved more on all the gifts for the ones you adore. Wine, spirits, beers, all nestled on shelves.
Curbside pickup available and the lowest prices for over 30 years only at Total Wine and More.
Drink responsibly. Beach 21.
This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
Progressive Insurance presents the Sports Flash on 97.3 ESPN. Major League Baseball, the New York Mets landing the prized free agent of 2024 as Juan Soto agrees to a 15-year deal with New York worth $765 million. Soto finished third in the American League MVP voting, had 41 home runs last year for the Yankees with 109 RBIs. The Philadelphia Eagles win their 9th straight game, improving to 11-2 with a 22-16 win Sunday against Carolina. Jalen Hurts, 2 touchdown passes, one to Devontae Smith, the other to Grant Calcaterra. He also added a 1-yard score. Saquon Barkley had 124 yards rushing, setting a franchise rushing record for the season. The Sixers are off until Friday, facing Indiana. Philadelphia has won 4 of 5. They beat the Chicago Bulls Sunday 108-100. While the Flyers are back on the ice Tuesday night in Columbus to face the Blue Jackets. Philadelphia has lost 3 straight. Sunday they fell to Utah 4-2. I'm Tony Desiri, and that's your Sports Flash on 97.3 ESPN.
Offshore wind power puts the wind at New Jersey's back with clean, renewable energy that can power tens of thousands of homes and create thousands of jobs. In fact, it's estimated that a single wind farm can create over 4,000 jobs and add more than $700 million to the state's economy. Offshore wind, propelling New Jersey's future. To learn more, visit nj.gov/offshore wind.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. We do have some puddles and wet surfaces around from today's rain, but there's no danger of a freeze tonight. Road conditions will just be wet, not icy. Low temperatures expected to dip to around 45 degrees as fog develops, and fog will linger through much of tomorrow. Maybe a peak of sun in the afternoon, high 56. Wednesday we get wet again. Periods of rain likely, could be heavy at times. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
Oh, yeah, it's on at Matt Blatt Nissan.
If you're currently stuck in a loan or lease, AJ the Trademan can get you released. MattBlattNissan.com. It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township.
This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
The Eagles' pass game has to be AJ one-on-one or build those play-action pockets in because Jalen has the space to see it. Am I worried? No. But I've said it all year. If they start slow again and someone jumps them, that's when it becomes a slippery slope because they can't play to the style that they want.
And you saw part of that slippery slope yesterday that Dan Orlovsky referred to this morning on ESPN's Get Up. Josh Hennig back here in the Ocean Casino Resort Studios here on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. So we are more than 24 hours removed from the Eagles' win. Got to remind people it was a win over the Panthers. So how much of this consternation, this drama, this whatever you want to call it, how much of it is just bad day at the office? How much of this is a long-term concern? Chris Franklin covers the Philadelphia Eagles for NJ Advanced Media. Check out all of his coverage of the Eagles at nj.com, as well as on the Twitter X platform at C Franklin News. Chris, welcome back in. How you doing today?
Not bad. It feels more like a loss or a tie. It feels like a tie. If anything, it's like, what are we? What happened? It feels like that. After watching that game, it feels like it was a tie instead of a win.
For you, because obviously, I jokingly mentioned earlier that you got stuck in the AJ Brown video, but you were in the locker room when Brown and Smith and the guys were talking yesterday. I mean, how much of what was coming out of their mouth was a reflection of a rough day, and how much of it was potentially maybe something boiling under the surface?
I think there's more frustration for the back-to-back weeks. I think if you justified, say, okay, the Ravens held you in check, you bite your tongue a little bit because they still were one of the worst pass defenses in the league, if not the worst. And then you come back to face a team that, although the Carolina Panthers were playing really well these last 3-4 games, a team that you should have, in theory, really had about at least 250, 300 passing yards because of what they have there, even if they have J.C. Horn. So the fact that you struggle back-to-back weeks, and I think it's starting to set in a little bit. And the thing when you look at this passing offense is it's all fixable stuff. And I think they all see it's all fixable stuff, but whether it be Hurts not pulling the trigger, whether it be like the blitz or team blitzing, what have you, or doing running these stunts and they get pressure when they finally get open that they're not there. It's like it seems like every pass play now there's one or two things that break down, and then everything is just snowballing at this point.
You mentioned about how this is 2 weeks in a row, and I mentioned that before you came on about how, it's not like the pass offense was great the week before either. So for me, I'm trying to decipher, Chris, right? The Packers game, week 1. You look back on the Bengals game in Cincinnati. You look back on the Commanders game. Like, there have been games where the passing game has held up their end of the bargain, right? So for you, how much has this regression been opponents? How much this has been the Eagles shooting themselves in the foot potentially?
It's all shooting for me. I know a lot of these teams are tough. It's mostly them shooting themselves in the foot. And it seems every time they've had, and the weird part is every time they've had issues with the passing game, they've seemed to rectify enough the following week where things have gotten better or they bounce back a little bit. This is the first time we see back-to-back games with this passing offense. It's like, ugh, it is bad. And A.J. Brown should have had 100 yards yesterday. And, at least, if not 100 yards, at least 2 touchdowns. That's just like you see all the numbers these guys are getting, and they're so used to getting the ball, and you kind of want to see a wide receiver say, like, I wish I had the ball, and if there weren't, did you like it? And you start looking like, okay, great. Like, you start to question what's going on. So I just look at it and I'm just like, it's all self-inflicted wounds, and you need them to get on the same page, and you need to do it fast because there's opportunities there. And when all the teams get to play, and when they face in the playoffs, with the exception of the Commanders, who I think right now are 5th in pass defense, and the exception of the Seattle Seahawks, so I think they're like 11th right now heading into this tonight's game. Everybody else is in the bottom third. So there are chances if you get the run game going, you could really take advantage of that. So you need to fix that soon so you can really take advantage of those teams later on.
Okay, Chris, so you just mentioned about them self-sabotaging, okay, whatever you want to call it. It's, they're digging their own they're digging their own potholes and then running over them in some of these cases. So in this situation, I know a lot of people are trying to nitpick on who's to blame. People love to play that game, right? It's sports, right? We all do it on some level. But I want to know from you, because you've seen this team the whole year, how much of it is the quarterback and how much it is the coaches? Because the quarterback sounded yesterday like he was inferring, Chris, to you guys in the media. It sounded like Hurts was inferring that, hey, man, I'm just doing what I'm told. And Sirianni has made it sound like in the past that, it's on the coaches to give Hurts the right information. So where do you measure the culpability of the coaching staff in all this?
I know it's a cop, I'll say 50-50. It's like they take turns each week. Like, I look at the coaching staff, I think, I don't put it so much like yesterday's issues on the coaching staff. I put it more on Hurts, just I think there were some opportunities where it's almost like we saw with McNabb, where if there wasn't enough separation, then he wouldn't want to throw the ball and he'd look elsewhere, take a check down or what have you, which is kind of funny that we're talking about Hurts taking check downs. We wanted them to take check downs so many times before in the past, but I think there's some other weeks where I think you can still use, I look at the coaching and you can utilize what you're doing in the run game or utilize Hurts in his ability to run. If he likes to go outside the pockets, like Seabair, why not try to do like they like to run that outside stretch? Why not have him run bootlegs off of that? Why not move the pocket around? Like the sprint right options and stuff like we've seen in the past. There's little tweaks they can do that to help him better. But also you have to look at Hurts. He can't be afraid to throw the ball when it's certain situations. And when you have a wide receiver like A.J. Brown, who has shown that he can get, once he gets inside on a defensive back, he gets that catch 9 times out of 10. You got to throw the ball and pull the trigger. And I wonder how much those early interceptions, those turnovers early in the season started to affect them, where the coaching points were like, okay, if you just don't see it, just take your check down. We'll see another day, run the ball, what have you. So there's a lot of factors into it, but I think they're both culpable in what's going on right now.
Talking with Chris Franklin from NJ.com, NJ Advanced Media, Eagles and NFL writer, joining us here on 97.3 ESPN. Josh Hennick here, hanging out in the Ocean Casino Resort Studios on a Monday night. So, Chris, you mentioned about Hurts. So, for you, I've seen times, I'm sure you have as well. It looks like he's overthinking. Like you can see the steam just churning out of his helmet almost. Like he's got so much going on up in there in his head. And I just got to wonder, if you know he's having this struggle, doesn't somebody got to go and help him out? Someone go talk to him. Someone maybe make a change. Like A.J. Brown basically inferred yesterday that basically him and Hurts almost never talked during a game. Like, well, that's not helpful, man.
Yeah, sometimes that's just some quarterbacks like to stay off to the side. I've seen that before on the sidelines as well too. Yeah, yesterday the wide receivers were with themselves and Hurts was with the quarterbacks, and it wasn't until they got to the huddle where they started talking at times. Yeah, you saw some of that stuff. But at the same time, I think the biggest thing they can do, like, I don't know, if he's in his head so much, run more tempo, run more no huddle. I know it's temporarily put a strain on your defense if they get 3rd out and they have to run back on the field and do that. But it seems like he operates his best when they're just going and he has one read, 2 read, and go. And he seems after that, whenever he gets into that, they go to that rhythm, that no huddle stuff. He seems to get in the rhythm a lot more, and he's better off as the game goes on. And I start to wonder, I know you don't like to do this usually on the first drive, but it's one of those things where you wonder if the offense has to be on the field with their slow starts and their issues, just start the whole game in tempo. Let him get a feel for that. Let him get into the rhythm. And if he gets 1 first down, then you're really going. Maybe settle back and get back into a huddle and what have you. But yeah, it's at the point now. I'm like, is this Kellen? Is this Nick? Or is it in part of his Jalen too? So they need to figure something out.
Well, I will say, and this is, listen, I'm not in those meeting rooms, but I genuinely don't think this is Sirianni for the one reason that, you can see during the course of a game. Now, again, I'm watching on television, right? But like I see during the course of the game, there's a ton of times where Nick looks completely unengaged when Kellen Moore is calling these plays. So I'm assuming that this is Kellen Moore's show. And I just don't understand how, as a former quarterback that Kellen Moore is, Chris, how a former quarterback doesn't look at his current quarterback and says, how can I help get him in a rhythm instead of calling quarterback power run on 3rd down?
And the reason why I threw it Nick is because he greenlights whatever Vic wants to do, whatever Kellen wants to do, he greenlights it. And that's what I would do. Like, this last play, they gameplay just like, hey, this is how we want to attack. Okay, you guys attack this way. You have that. That's why I included Nick inside that one. In terms of Kellen, yeah, I wonder that also. Kellen was a different style quarterback too. Like, okay, I'll drop back. I'll be mobile enough to get around. And he's trying to get used to that. I know he had Dak and with Dallas, but different. And then he went to Justin Herbert, different type. Now he's going to a guy who does better with RPOs, more throwing on the run, more improvisation, and basically it's their first year together, so they're trying to get things on the same page too. But I don't know. Like, it's one of those things where I wish they learned to attack these defenses through the air a little bit differently. It's a lot. You shouldn't have to rely on the deep ball. And I wonder if this is another thing as well, too, because Hurts doesn't want to turn the ball over. Do you throw the deep ball? Because if it gets intercepted, it winds up being like a punt instead of throwing like a slant or a dig in the middle on a 10-yard route when they're on their side of the field and he's worried about turning the ball over then, too. I think there's still some tweaks that need to be made, and I think they can get in terms of same page synchronization. But I look at Hurts just needing to pull the trigger. I look at Moore and try to find ways to get him involved early and get Hurts into a rhythm earlier, so that way he feels more comfortable as the game goes along.
Chris, I never understood, and again, I'm speaking as someone who's watching the game. I listen to former athletes talk about the game. I read guys like you at NJ.com writing about the week in and week out, but I never understood, like, Jalen Hurts, he literally had 2 seasons that were almost mirrors of each other in his life, 2019 and 2022. The one thing those years have in common, Chris, was that the ball got out of his hands quickly. Both Lincoln Riley, Oklahoma, and Shane Steichen for the Eagles in 2022 both said, okay, the goal is to get the ball out of Hurts' hands quickly. The 2 years that he had the lowest amount of time in terms of snap to throw were those 2 years. And I don't understand why you don't just turn to the quarterback and be like, listen, man, we're taking the idea of slow developing plays out of your hands, and we're just going to do it this way until somebody stops us.
Yeah, and the big things they're running in those seasons, RPOs, RPRs, and they're running out the pistol and the shotgun. Not as much, but like they run it that way too to let them see the field, get them into the throwing windows, let them move around, and then you attack the edges. And the edge rushers said, no, those were what were really happening in terms of those 2 seasons. And I don't know, like you can't base your whole entire offense around those type of RPOs. And
sure,
stuff like that,
right?
Because teams are going to move in there, but you got to mix them in a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
You have the running back because teams are hell bent on trying to stop Saquon Barkley. They know they want to stop him. A, because they don't want to be a footnote in history, being the team that allowed them to help get the record, and B, he's just. Basically, they just think like, okay, if you take him away, then Hurts have to turn it to a passing game, and he does that well. But you got to mix it in a little bit more, and you'll probably have a lot more success. What I forget, I think it's reception perception. I think for whatever, I forget the website had it. When you look at when AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, when they do their best, it's the dig routes, the slants, and it's all in the post. Those are the 3 routes they run extremely well. And so to figure that, you know what? Those are usually the routes you can run on an RPO, and they have success with that. I want to see them incorporate that more, but I don't know what it is about it. We're like, okay, you know what? They don't want to use it too much. They still want to base the play action pass off the run sets that they have already. It's so much stuff, like it's so many little tweaks here and there, but also it ultimately comes down to execution, and that's what they're not doing right now enough. Like one play goes down, one player doesn't do the job, one thing. Next thing you know, this is another incompletion or it's a sack or what have you. Vice versa. It seems to be also a different player each play as well too, and they're never on the same page or in sync. It's crazy.
Right. Let's spin it forward. Chris Franklin from NJ Advanced Media, NJ.com, at C Franklin News on the Twitter X platform. What does this offense have? You have to put your finger on one thing. What does the offense got to refine, get better at, do better at this upcoming week against a very good Steelers defense?
Move the pocket away from J.J. Watt. TJ Watt. Ooh, I see so many Watt brothers. TJ Watt. Sorry. People you need to move the pocket away from him. And that's like every team says that, like, okay, yeah, we got to contain TJ Watt. Well, you have to. And they're going to line him up either way. This might be, as much as we're talking about RPOs and everything, this might be a game where you really do need to rely on Hurts to do like the check with me. You already need to receive where he is. You need to do the checks at the line. I know, and getting the baseball, I don't know if I was like, well, they had to check with me. You go in line, you see what one person is. Okay, we're running the opposite way. And you do that. He's going to get, and we've seen the way that Stalin beforehand. We heard about the whole Aaron Donald thing. How the Eagles offensive line wasn't going to let him beat it. This is an Aaron Donald type game in terms of that, where you'll see two guys in a chip going towards them. So so especially now that you have Devontae Smith back and you have AJ Brown that one too. Both of those guys could be instrumental because if you have to reverse it to the other side and use that whatever side of space that Watt's going and you want to throw that way, you could take advantage of that big time. So those are 2 guys I think they can have a decent day because I think they're going to just run away from him that way too. But yeah, contain TJ Watt, run away from him. It's okay to say, like, you know what, we're not going to let you beat us. Just do that. And I think the Steelers can be had in that aspect.
Let's flip it to the Eagles defense because yesterday was the first time Cooper DeJean got had, Chris. I mean, I saw at least twice that Adam Thielen was running those wheel routes, right? And it was like DeJean had never seen a wheel route before. Like, I guess Thielen is just that crafty that he can make a talented corner like that look bad. So, for you looking at the pass defense, yes, C.J. Gardner-Johnson had the interception. And yes, Darius Slay had that big stop at the very end of the game. But there were a lot of lapses on that defense throughout the course of the game where, listen, the Eagles got, I think it was like 19 pressures or whatever it was on Bryce Young. But you wouldn't know that by watching the game, Chris, because Bryce Young suddenly looked like, I don't know, Steve Young.
Yeah, I think this was the first game I thought defensive line was like, in a while, it was like defensive line didn't, it's like, oof. Even though they got the pressures, they didn't get like the true. I think they didn't have that real impact as you wished, and they didn't keep containing. That's why you saw Young getting escaping, especially on that last drive as well as the Panthers had. And I think when you look at DeJean, I think what you saw what the Panthers were doing, have success with Chuba Hubbard and everything. I think it got into everybody's minds. We need to stop the run. And so when he went into that way, he put Thielen in the slot, and then you saw Hubbard backfield, and then he was like, okay, I got to make sure I cover the edge and get there. Oh, wait, it's not running. Okay, let me get into this one. And the way the craftiness that Thielen uses, set him up, that was pretty big. And we've seen a lot of teams, like they start to put we see how like number one receivers go inside and in the slot and what have you. It's a copycat league. I would be surprised you start to see that there. When you see Pickens, I know Pickens normally lines up on the outside. I wouldn't be surprised if they try to line up a couple times on the inside, try to do the same thing with that. Not only just like the wheel route, but say like the corner routes or what have you, because we've seen how well he does catching the ball towards the sidelines in tight windows too. That's a matchup I wouldn't be surprised if the Steelers tried to use a lot. It was a lot of things. Like they're trying to get the calls out. They got the defensive calls out late. It was banging things just like the offense. There was things here and there where you're looking like, what's going on defense? But the difference between the two sides was the defense was able to make plays when it mattered and the offense didn't. So I'm not as concerned about that. But I am concerned about Russell Wilson because he seems to have his team's number. That's the worst of that one. But it's crazy when you look at the season. But I'm not as concerned with the defense as opposed with the offense.
Well, I mean, let's be realistic. There's really only been 2 times the entire year where an opposing quarterback has looked good against this defense. And one of those times was because half the defense was injured in Tampa. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not going to act like this game is a reflection of the whole season. They can't slow down the Steelers, but I do wonder, is there a part of the Steelers that looks at this game and says, well, I mean, oh snap. If Bryce Young can do this, why can't Russell Wilson do it?
Yeah, he can. And when you look at I wouldn't be surprised they try to test him early. And I think I would be surprised they try to do a lot of draws and a lot of screen passes to try to slow that defensive line down early. And then he tried to take their shots downfield with Pickens. I think that's the way they probably go around about it. They're going to try to fix or try to test with Slay and DeJean. That's the Pickens DeJean thing. I think that's the best way if they want to really move the ball down the field is that. And then you got Rough Freiermuth. How about that? Yeah, you got the guy occupying the middle there. There are some chances they will have some shots. I think they'll convert maybe 1 or 2 of them. But when you're looking at the way they has to consistently move the ball down the field, Harris and all that stuff, I'm not as concerned about the Steelers' run game as opposed to maybe the quick passes or those things to slow that defensive line down and try to give Russell Wilson some more time to throw the ball.
He's Chris Franklin. Follow him on the Twitter X platform at C Franklin News. Of course, he covers the Eagles and the NFL for NJ Advanced Media and NJ.com. They joined me here on 97.3 ESPN. Chris, appreciate you jumping on and try to stay away from those social media cameras, okay?
Oh, yeah. I got to find a way to incognito. I don't know if I need the Mike Schmidt wig or whatever, but I need something to get away from that. I try to hide. Oh boy.
Because it's always the most awkward thing when it's like, they're filming these guys in their locker, and it's like, someone like me, I'm watching it because it's my job to see all this stuff, and it's like, oh, that's so and so. Oh, that's so and so. Like you would almost start picking people out in the background, and I can only imagine it's just like you guys think in the back of your head, like, don't look at the camera, don't look at the camera, don't look at the camera.
It's because they didn't have a booger or a sneeze or something else like that for it, because I would have been really bad on that one too. Look at these Philly reporters in the background. Look what they're doing. Look at, I'm so glad. Get me away from there.
Chris, take care of yourself, man.
You too, now.
We'll get back to the text board on the other side. 609-403-0973. Your DMs into the 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. Josh Hennig hanging out with you. Don't forget, Monday Night Football is tonight. Cowboys, Bengals, right here on 97.3 ESPN.
Kevin Harlan here from Monday Night Football on Westwood One as the Bengals take on the Cowboys. Joe Burrow and Cincinnati have a top 5 scoring offense. Now they travel to Dallas to take on a resurgent Cowboy team. Don't miss it on Monday Night Football.
Listen to Monday Night Football on 97.3 ESPN. Brought to you by Ace Hardware Home Services, Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing. Visit acehardwarehomeservices.com to book today.
Hi, it's Pete from Chickie and Pete's. Wrap up your workday with the all-new Chickies and Pete's Happy Hour with unbeatable specials weekdays from 4 to 6 p.m. Enjoy half-price orders of Chickies meaty and tender wings, one of our tasty and delicious pizzas, or an order of mouth-watering hot, cold, or fried shrimp. Plus $3 domestic bottled beers, $5 Tito's, and $6 seltzers. It's the all-new Happy Hour, weekdays, 4 to 6 p.m., only at Chickies and Pete's. Hi, it's Pete from Chickie and Pete's. Now, for a limited time, it's buy one, get one free snow crab legs every Tuesday and Wednesday. Buy one, get one free, and enjoy the sweet, delicate flavor of snowy white crab meat. Pair it with one of our handcrafted cocktails like the Stoli Vanilla Creamsicle or the Bourbon Peach Sweet Tea. Top it off with Chickie and Pete's world famous crab fries. Buy one, get one free snow crab legs every Tuesday and Wednesday for a limited time. Restrictions apply only at Chickies and Pete's.
The current federal government is actually going $1 trillion deeper in debt every 100 days. That's why thousands are turning to Goldco, a top-rated gold company, to diversify their savings with time-tested safe haven assets, physical gold and silver. Right now, not only is Goldco offering a free gold and silver kit, but on qualified purchases, they'll give you up to a 10% instant match in bonus silver. Call 855-838-GOLD. That's 855-838-GOLD. Performance may vary. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
Your luxury BMW experience is closer than you think. Take advantage of exceptional savings at BMW of Atlantic City. Stop in and shop your favorite models, including the new BMW 2 Series, X3, and more. We're sure to have a vehicle that fits your needs. And with Acceleride, purchase your vehicle online and we'll deliver it directly to you. Looking to trade? We'll pay top dollar for your current vehicle. Experience luxury today at BMW of Atlantic City, closer than you think. In Egg Harbor Township, shop our complete inventory online at bmwatlanticcity.com.
It's your last chance to snag Dell Technologies' lowest prices of the year before the holidays. The future is on sale today with limited time deals on select PCs like the XPS 16 that accelerate AI with Intel Core Ultra processors. This is their biggest sale of the year and the best time to upgrade, but it's only here for a limited time. Shop now at Dell.com/deals. That's Dell.com/deals.
The county just requested more electric charging stations.
Orders have really amped up at Able Electric.
We need 3 more at First and Main, and we just got another hotel chain.
It's no shock. Able Electric needs able electricians.
Grocery store wants charging stations too.
And fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Put our matching platform to work so you can spend less time searching and more time connecting with talented candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Looking for the perfect RV to hit the open road this fall? Look no further than Hitch RV, your premier RV dealer. They're offering unbeatable pricing during their fall reduction sale on a wide range of RVs, from cozy travel trailers to luxurious motorhomes. Hitch RV is dedicated to providing exceptional customer service and quality RVs. Visit them today at hitchrv.com/Berlin or call 856-629-7400. Hitch RV, your adventure awaits.
My son loves to fly kites, but my active psoriatic arthritis can sometimes hold me back. Now with Skyrizi to treat my skin and joints, I'm ready to go. Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults, helps with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue. For those who also have plaque psoriasis, 90% clearer skin is possible with just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, there's nothing like clearer skin and better movement, and that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi today and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
Not to brag, but Progressive's Name Your Price tool is mankind's greatest tool ever. Even better than the wheel. Sure, without the wheel, we wouldn't have modern transportation or funny videos of dogs riding skateboards. But without the Name Your Price tool, we wouldn't have easy access to auto insurance options based on our budget. And, well, cars do need wheels. They also need insurance, and insurance never goes flat. Learn more about the greatest tool ever. Then name your price tool at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
Go to get your game on at the Gallery Bar Book and Games at Ocean Casino Resort. Cheers your favorite drinks while cheering on your favorite team. Get in on the parlay while in the middle of a party. Go for the sports scene and go for the endless screens. Go to the Gallery. Go to the Fanatic Sportsbook. Go for the win at Ocean Casino Resort. For more information, visit theoceanac.com. Must be 21 or older to wager or consume alcohol. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million+ products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done. This holiday season, Straight Talk Wireless is letting you say yes a lot more with real unlimited data. Yes to sharing pics of the ugliest holiday sweaters. Yes to checking weather on the go for surprise sledding trips. And with a free phone at sign up, let the yes-tivities begin.
No way!
Yes way. Straight Talk, real unlimited data. Available at Walmart or straighttalk.com. Offer valid through 1/5/25 while supplies last at participating stores. Taxes and fees apply. Requires in-store activation on select single line plans. Limit of 2 phones per customer. For network management practices, visit straighttalk.com.
Why would someone looking for a mortgage at the Jersey Shore take a loan from a company in Detroit or North Carolina or some other far-off place? Online mortgages promise a lot, but don't always deliver. First Bank of Sea Isle City knows the Jersey Shore. We are local lenders. We use local appraisers and provide in-house processing. We understand the unique obstacles of financing in Cape May County. Don't take a chance. Local banking is better. Let us guide you. First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Member FDIC. Equal housing lender.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennick on 97.3 ESPN and on the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Before we get out of here, a couple more texts in here at 609-403-0973. Monday Marcus chimes in. Hey, Josh, this Eagles winning streak coincides with the turnovers coming down for Hurts. So is the coaching staff, or is just in his mind he doesn't want to be the reason for a loss, rather than playing the game like he is, like he used to, like as he's in the backyard making plays. Guys like Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar, those unscheduled plays, directing guys when Hurts is outside the pocket, automatically throwing it out of bounds instead. Monday Marcus, I think the problem with Jalen is you are right to an extent. There is a part of him that seems to be apprehensive to throw the ball sometimes. I think the problem is that there's got to be a part of the people around him, as I was telling with Chris Franklin, the guys around him got to help him. You know, I've heard people like Travis Kelce and Dan Orlovsky and Chad Johnson and others. They've all made the same comment on different platforms, which is the receiver sometimes has got to help his quarterback. Sometimes the receiver has to come back to the quarterback on some of these plays. And, I'm watching A.J. Brown and I'm watching Devontae Smith sometimes, and they seem so committed to the route that they are scheduled to run on the play call that they never think about breaking off of that because of what might be going on with the quarterback. And I think maybe there is Jalen Hurts mentioned it, they're not, let me pull up the audio. Hurts made this comment yesterday at his press conference about being in sync. Here it is.
Yeah, I think they did a good job. I think we did a bad job. That starts with me, how I execute, and ultimately, you yearn and I yearn for better synchronization amongst that. Yearn for a more complementary style of ball in a sense. Some things don't get you until it gets you, and definitely been some urgency there trying to figure it out.
I don't think he's lying. I think that there is a bit of disconnect. I think there needs to be more synchronization, as he calls it. There needs to be a better cohesive relationship between the receiver and the quarterback. And I understand that, there's an audio clip being promoted by certain social media platforms of when Brandon Graham is saying that, the The relationship between Jalen and A.J. Brown is not as close as it used to be. And, the comment that Brandon Graham says is that, 1 is trying and 11 needs to do better, saying that Jalen Hurts is doing everything that he can, but it's on A.J. Brown to be better. And if that's the case, then I just got to ask the question that I asked Chris Franklin earlier. Why'd you put a C on these guys' shirts? A captain is not supposed to be having personal or professional issues get in the way of them doing their job. You can't have a manager at a store who doesn't get along with the other manager. Like you have 2 assistant managers and they purposely make life difficult for each other. The store is going to fall apart, right? So I don't understand how we are in this situation if these guys are supposed to be grown-ups, supposed to be adults. Text gave me a little bit earlier, says the play calling seems so spotty at times. I don't know if it's me, but it always seems like they get into a rhythm in the second and the third is super spotty. Yeah, there is no flow in the offense right now. And that's why I say in some ways I do blame the coaching staff, because the coaching staff needs to help the players be successful. Have a great everybody.
It's Philadelphia Flyers hockey tomorrow night on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Listen as Tim Saunders and Todd Fedor bring you